Hey guys, I'm DP and welcome to our brand new series, Games to Movies. In this series, I will be discussing video games that have not had any movie adaptations and discuss why they deserve to have a movie adaptation and explain how I think it could work. So let's jump right into it. A game that I have been talking about with friends for a long time that I think should have a movie adaptation is Resident Evil Village. As you see behind me here, I think it is one of the most amazing games I've ever played. Beautiful graphics, amazing storytelling, amazing voice acting, and just overall a super fun game. Now, playing this game at first, yes, it terrified me, and then going through another run through of the game actually has deducted the amount of fear that I would have playing this game and has increased my amount of interest in the lore within this game and within this universe. Now, as some of you might already know, Resident Evil already has its own movie series that we've had in the early 2000s. Those were okay, some were fun to watch, other ones are just complete cringe. Now, we also had a movie come out around 2018, I believe, for the first 3 games of Resident Evil, where we have Leon being the star of the show. That was not a very good movie either. I personally do enjoy it. I thought it was a fun movie, but it lacked a lot of heart, it lacked a lot of accuracy, and it felt that they were just shoving way too much into one movie. Now, moving on from that, I will jump right to Village. One of my favorite Resident Evil games ever. It got me into the series, it got me into the universe, period. Now, if they are planning to make a movie at some point regarding Resident Evil Village, they obviously need to bring Resident Evil Biohazard, which is the beginning of the story of our main lovable character, Ethan. Now, what these games do amazingly is the amount of not just jump scares, but the intensity within the games. I think that they could implement these tactics into the movies as well, where you're always on edge, something will pop out no matter what. Yes, sometimes it will seem to depend on jump scares, but it also depends on the atmosphere, the tensity of how everything is feeling within the moment of Ethan walking into the house from Biohazard, all the way leading up to how he walks into that castle, that majestic castle that we all see in Village. Personally, the beautiful thing I think of Resident Evil Village is that there's not just one genre of monster. There are multiple types of genres of monsters. There's lycans, there's vampires, there's a bunch of other creatures out there, even a werewolf, for God's sake. I think that they could expand on a lot of things and they don't have to stay true to it being zombies or strictly lycans or something like that. You have a bunch of options to go with. Personally, I'm not a huge fan sometimes of creative differences that people like to do within shows and adaptations of certain things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. What they did with the Resident Evil movie that came out a few years ago, like the most recent one, I was not a fan of some of the creative processes that they had that could have been more accurate to the games. I think that if Village and Biohazard come out as a movie, they have to make a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1 being Biohazard, part 2 being Village. For those of you who don't know, essentially Village is basically a horror version of Taken. He loses his daughter, he has to find his daughter after going through an insane amount of challenges.
I will find you.
Regarding just all these disgusting creatures that he has to fight to get to his daughter. I'd say that's pretty much the same as Liam Neeson kicking ass there all the way to France to try to get his daughter back.
And I will kill you.
But then essentially, thinking about it now, Taken 2 or 3 would be the premise of Resident Evil Biohazard, where Ethan loses his wife instead of the daughter, so it's all reversed, but it works. If they take it the route of kind of a Liam Neeson where it is action, it is also horror, mixed together into one, I think that would really be amazing. Especially with the jump scares that they have for Biohazard, that made me actually lose my crap. I actually pissed myself playing the game. I still have not finished it, but I know the lore. Now, the interesting thing is, Village does not scare me as much, but it interests me a lot. So implementing that really amazing storytelling with some horror elements that could make you uncomfortable rather than actually scared, I think would be a really good route to take these movies or these potential movies and make it into something that could really be interesting for pretty much anyone who maybe isn't specifically into the horror genre but likes action movies or like some good storytelling, and bring it into one beautiful cluster that is Resident Evil Village. Now personally, I think if whatever company were to make this movie kept the same elements that the games have, I think it would have a true good potential of being a good Resident Evil movie, just because it's not all over the place. There's not too many creatures. Like, sure, there's different types of monsters. There's, you know, what I mentioned, the lycans, the vampires, the swamp monster, etc., etc. But it keeps everything pretty tight, whereas the other Resident Evil games usually show zombies, monsters, zombie dogs, and all these other Titan looking characters like Mr. X. I think that is something that needs to be placed in a type of movie that can actually bring those crazy diverse storylines that is going on, because there's just multiple things going on with the first few Resident Evil games. This and Biohazard have one character that they follow throughout the entire time, and it focuses on what this dad, what Ethan Winters is willing to do to protect his family, to save his wife in the Biohazard game, and to save his daughter in Village. And another thing too that I realized with Resident Evil movies, they make it extremely hard for the audience to like the character. What they did with the Netflix adaptation of Resident Evil, which by the way I thought was okay, it was not great, but it was very entertaining, and I wish that they would have continued with a season 2, is that they made the main character unlikable. Now, I am not sure if they did that on purpose or they were meaning to make this person just relatable in a sense of making mistakes all the time, but yet still the main character. I'm not sure. I mainly saw the character as selfish and just not a great person, willing to sacrifice anyone else to save herself. But again, if they keep that element of having Ethan Winters be a likable character just like Liam Neeson is in Taken, badass, but yet, you know, needs to get his point across to save his daughter, save his family.
I got family.
I think that this could have been a really great potential to make a great Resident Evil movie that fans and non-fans will both enjoy and not complain about. But what do you think? Do you think that there should be a Resident Evil Village Biohazard movie? Do you think that it is possible to make a good Resident Evil Village movie, or just a Resident Evil movie in general be good? Is that possible? What do you guys think? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate you, we love you, and we hope that you enjoy these new series that we are coming out with. And don't forget to de-stress, progress, let your mind rest, enjoy the rest of your day, have a good night, wherever you're at, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.